I wonder if Chris Paul could have just done I was wrong. I was wrong in the way I answered that question because the same question was asked again today at Media Day. So, hey, Coach, you starting? Obviously, this has become something that we've all talked about, and the high likelihood now is that from the bet between me and Styles to any other portion of this conversation is probably put on hold because Draymond Green has an ankle injury, and right now the betting man says that he's not going to be ready for opening night. So is Chris Paul going to start? Sure. But as I said to you a few days ago, for everybody who goes, media creation, you're all making a big deal out of nothing. No, Chris did this. You find it interesting, makes it our job to talk about it, and there was a very easy way for this to never become a thing. All he had to do was say exactly what he said today.
I actually had an opportunity in '08 to come off the bench for the Olympic team. You know what I mean? And that went pretty well. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about winning. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to help our team win. So I know coaching us, we're going to talk about it and see what it looks like. We've been hooping all summer, and I think, for the season, it's going to be whatever to help our team win. And I think I've at least tried to show or proven that my entire career. So.
Oh, so you mean you're here to do whatever the team needs in order for you to win? Great. By the way, I don't care what Chris Paul says in front of a microphone. He's his own man, and he is allowed to say whatever the hell he wants. But for the crowd that wants this to go away and thinks that it was a media creation, that's all you had to do. If you wanted it to not be a thing, just say that. That's all anybody wants to hear on this situation. You're Chris Paul. Stop acting like this isn't a thing here, okay? You are arriving inside a building filled with players who've considered you a rival for 15 years. You are speaking to a fan base who's rooted against you for 15 years. And you're acting like you don't need to speak to that. You do. You do. Because this fan base has watched a bunch of banners go up, often at your expense. And for you to come in and make that fan base think that you're not necessarily about this team, potentially you're more about you. Listen, whether that's real or imagined, it's going to put everyone on their heels.
Yeah.
And it did.
I think that's just a fact. It's more imagined. And people are going to be put on their heels no matter what the exchange was with Kendra Andrews. And, the answer he gives now at Media Day when they've actually had practices here, it's a real answer because he's actually now a part of the team. When he gets asked, 2 or 3 months ago, he hadn't yet been a Golden State Warrior. He hadn't played with his new teammates. He hadn't met with his coach in any real setting. So how is he supposed to answer that? Now he can answer it with some actual teeth to it because he's been at practice and now he sees what's going on here.
I want to make sure I'm clear. He gets to answer it however he wants.
Yeah. I took no offense by the you coaching.
Nor did I. There's no offense. My point is that when you answer the way you answer, you get what you get. And Chris Paul is a celebrity. He is in front of microphones all the time. These people are well aware of how their words are going to be pinched and massaged and analyzed and all of that stuff. And so he can say whatever he wants. I'm not offended at all. I'm sort of more offended by those who are like, oh, media for clicks. I don't even know what that means.
Right.
I don't get paid for any clicks. None. My job and your job, our job, is to come in here on a daily basis and ask ourselves, what are the people thinking today? What are the people thinking about? What are they talking about? What are they going to find interesting today?
Oh, you broadcasting?
Yeah, I am. and I by the way, I think we do a pretty good job of that. I really do. We didn't come in today and think, you know what? I think we should talk about potential replacements for the Giants. I don't think we're there yet. By the way, Farhan Zaidi, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Not on the show. We're not on at 11 a.m. But he's holding the availability.
You asking?
At Oracle. I am. I'm going. I'll be there.
Let's go to Mark in the back.
I ain't going to be in the back. I'm going to get there early.
Okay.
I'm going to be in the front.
See if you can get into the center aisle so that when the camera is showing Farhan from a distance, we can see that beautiful head, the back of that head. Yes, Farhan, I have a 2-part question.
Farhan,
right here in the back.
Farhan, I just wanted to know if you were available this Saturday night, so maybe you and I could go do something.
Totally.
I think it's a little bit overdue.
Farhan.
Worked really hard to be on your payroll, and,
How much would it take in terms of dollars, and I will throw this out to the YouTube audience to add for donations, for you to ask a question as Gabe Yapler? Farhan, I have just one question.
Obviously, I thought that I did a pretty good job, but you didn't. Why?
Isn't it true that I made the most of a flawed roster? He's so great.
Farhan, where is the best cheeseburger in San Francisco?
I got $50 to start the fund for you to go
Cost
Yapler.
a hell of a lot more than that.
Major bag alert. Major.
Hey,
You would both gain credibility and lose credibility.
well, you show up and ask one is Farhan, Captain Giggler.
Farhan, hey, I was waiting. I know it's been tough. It's been tough these last few months, but now that you're looking for a manager and you're entering the last year of your contract, do you think you have the authority to make the hire?
It's too many laughs.
Yeah, way too many.
Too many laughs.
I played
But
it too.
it's an impersonation sensation.
That's a buck. Yeah. Chris A, I got 5 on it, so up to $55. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to need to get into 4 figures.
Okay.
For this to happen.
All right.
Well into 4 figures.
Thank
into 4
you.
figures. Okay. I'm not saying no.
I can ask a question as Kyle and/or Tiger Woods, depending on how you. Yeah.
What would be more fun is if I asked as Boach. That would be even more fun. Can I have my job back? Just kidding. We'll call you from the playoffs. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I could do that, but I probably won't. But yeah, we'll go talk to Farhan tomorrow.
Okay.
See what we see.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. But anyway, the point I even brought
Yes.
up is that, this is the 49ers played yesterday. The Warriors had media day. I think our job is to know what you find interesting and to know what is making you all tick and what you're thinking about. And we could sit in here and break down the wide 9. We could sit in here, let's talk about matchups on the word. That's no.
Talk about Ryder Cup shouting matches.
Jeez, that was interesting. I said it on Twitter over the weekend. Golf trash talk is my favorite. It's just like stuffy people in
You
collars.
waved your hat in my line. I'm putting here. It's pretty funny.
How dare you stand over there? You're supposed to stand over here.
It was so great.
You jerk. Wow.
Got heated.
This is really getting
Even
crazy.
spilled over into their courtesy cars.
Seriously.
As they all were being driven around in their elite Mercedes.
Held back by teammates getting shoved into the back of limos. Woo. Boy. Them streets is crazy at the Ryder Cup.
I do like the poll that we put out on our YouTube about what hits you the most. I think it was Warriors Media Day, Niners win, Kapler firing, and the 4th option was the Brandon Crawford retirement, which
Brandon came in last.
Garnered a vote or 2.
Yeah.
A couple people weighed in.
And why? Because it's it's positive and it's just sort of there.
Right.
And so, this isn't, nobody's, we're not getting paid for clicks. The bottom line is every single one of you out there who's this is not a thing, you're wrong. I don't know what to do with that. You're wrong. It's fine. It's no big deal. I'm not offended. But something like this does not get talked about, written about, and massaged ad nauseum if it's not a thing. Watch how I can prove it. If this was not a thing, how come the Warriors don't just come out and say it? Oh, yeah. Well, this is who we're starting.
Or how come he doesn't come out and say it?
Because,
and instead he's talking about the 2008 Redeem Team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I came off the bench for the 2008 Olympic Redeem Team, and I was just looking up some of the members of that team. There was a guy in that squad named Kobe Bryant. And not that Kobe's a point guard, because he's not. Jason Kidd actually was a holdover, and he was on that team. But if you're Chris Paul, you don't stroll into a Kobe Bryant-led squad and start telling, coaches this and that about what you're going to play. And he was 25 at the time, so skip ahead 15 years, or he was 23, because now we're 15 years later, and he's 38, and he's never come off the bench in an NBA game. So, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing until he says, I want to come off the bench. And Steiny actually had an interesting point earlier, and I say this hesitantly because I hate to give him credit for just about anything. But
I know this about you.
Draymond injured. We don't know if he'll be ready for the opener, but when Draymond comes back, he might volunteer to come off the bench like he did last year in the playoffs until he's ready to go.
Yeah, maybe. He might.
The real interesting one will be when all 6 of those guys are all healthy and all able to go.
Might not ever happen.
Right? But, when that moment happens, when Draymond's back off the injured list, if he even goes on it, when all 6 of the vets are healthy and ready to roll, what happens?
Well, the interesting thing to me is that if Draymond is out, is Chris Paul the correct person to slot into the starting lineup? That is still, again, a very, very small starting lineup. And this idea of, just make Wiggins play power forward. Okay. Maybe, I don't know for how many games or whatever, but no, look, the proof is in the pudding. It has been well documented that the Golden State Warriors as a franchise are going out of their way to not say publicly that they want Chris to come off the bench. Why is that? Because they want to show respect to him. And so if it is disrespectful to right away say, oh, he's coming off of the bench, well, translate that. It's a thing. It's a thing. So it's not a media creation. It's not any of that. By the way, what do guys do before media day? Do you think the Warriors all just went to their respective homes, showed up for media day with no pre-discussion with Raymond Ritter's awesome PR staff about what was going to be asked and how to answer it? Like, you tell me, you coaching turned into this. You think Raymond Ritter had a conversation with him?
I actually had an opportunity in 2008 to come off the bench for the Olympic team. You know what I mean? And that went pretty well. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about winning. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to help our team win. So I know coaching us, we're going to talk about it and see what it looks like. We've been hooping all summer, and I think, for the season, it's going to be whatever to help our team win. And I think I've at least tried to show or proven that my entire career. So
sounds to me like somebody who got coached up himself on how to answer this question to make the topic calm down and go away.
Well,
that's what it sounds like to me.
And it won't go away until we get to that point where we have clarity as to what they're going to do. And if Draymond's not ready for the opener, and if Jonathan Kuminga starts and Chris Paul comes off the bench on opening night, if it's Steph, Clay, Kuminga, Looney, and Wiggins, and CP3 comes off the bench, he'll be asked in the postgame, how did it feel coming off the bench? And if he answers like he just did at media day, this whole thing goes to bed.
Yeah, or they want to know. I mean, if Chris Paul's on a team that beats the Suns on opening night, Chris is going to be happy, no matter where he started the game.
Well, unless Rudy Gay and Corey Joseph come in off the bench before him, Moses Moody, Chris Paul is DNP, coach's decision. Is he still happy?
Maybe.
You sitting?
I mean, all he wants to do is whatever the team needs him to do
to win. To
win. What if Steph asks him for water?
Wow.
Hey, Chris, I'm thirsty. It's your first year here.
That's what we do with the newbies.
We're going to haze you.
Newbies and rooks, get the water.
Exactly. Give me some water, Chris.
Carry my gym bag, Paul.
If that's your name.
Totally.
Is that your name, Paul? Anyway, so yeah, I don't need to get too much further into this other than to say Chris answered this in a very, very different way. And I know for a lot of fans, that is actually something they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear Chris Paul sort of respect where this group has been. Is that really necessary? Does that matter? Maybe not. But I know a lot of Warrior fans who wanted to hear it. They want to hear Chris say, I'm here to win. I'm here for this team to win. I'm not here about where my standing is within the bigger group. Well, today you heard it. And so good job, Chris. Good job.
I wonder if he was asked, or if he will be asked, how much his never been on the bench stat, how much that means to him. Because it's a real thing for some, and he's never come off the bench in the NBA, and he's had a Hall of Fame career, and he's played more than 1,200 basketball games. And to have that as a part of your career, as a part of your tableau, that's an impressive thing. Because even Draymond and Clay and Steph, they've all come off the bench in the NBA, and CP3 never has.
Yep. That actually would be a really good question to see how he. It's a hypothetical, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
But it would be It'd be a good question. How much does that mean to you? I wonder how he'd answer it. I don't know. But anyway, the reality is this probably turns into. It sounds to me, and we'll ask Doc later this week. But it sounds to me kind of unlikely that that Draymond Green's going to be ready by opening night. Don't you think?
Yeah, and that's a great question for Doc. And, if he says that's a great question, I guess you get credit for it. But it's not sounding like, Doc tweeted out, it's not a high ankle, so it's just a garden variety ankle. And what was he saying, like 3 to 4 weeks, I think, is about the timeline. And the opener is
3 to 6, I think they said.
Yeah.
Although I think Draymond himself told someone that he was expecting 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And if he's expecting 4 to 6, that's on the other side of opening night.
Right. Opening night is, I think,
24th?
So 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Is that right? 24th?
That sounds right.
Do I have that right? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, what were we going to say, Granny?
All I was going to say is the Warriors announced that they'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's when we get the next update from him.
And when you have something like that, I mean, here's two things to think about. One is when they say we're not even going to look at it again for 2 weeks, it is a moderately serious injury. However, also run it through the prism of it's training camp. So they're not going to push anybody in training camp. There are no real games being missed over those next 2 weeks. But yeah, I would put it at less than 50-50 that Draymond's out there for opening night. That's just my sense based on what people are saying about it.
Just looking at, before we go to the phones, looking at the all-time list of games started in the association, Chris Paul is sitting 11th all-time in games started, Mark, in the NBA.
Wow.
Only 10 players have ever started more games than Chris Paul, and of those 10, every single one of them has come off the bench in the regular season.
At the end of the career or just at one time or another?
At one time, including LeBron James, 4th in starts at 1,419. There were 2 games in which he came off the bench.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to find when.
I do not remember that at all, but yeah.
Karl Malone has started the most games in history, and 5 times he came off the bench.
Okay.
Nowitzki's 2nd. KG is 3rd. Then LeBron, Tim Duncan, Kidd, Reggie Miller, Stockton, Pierce, Peyton Sr., and then Chris Paul at 12-14.
All right.
So there you go.